Good morning, bună dimineața. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sierra. I am the American that just spent 1 year living abroad in Romania. We actually just moved back to the States a couple of weeks ago. I have a ton of reverse culture shocks to share with you. I have already done a part 1 of this. This is the part 2 because, like I said, there's a ton to cover. So let's just get right into it. Okay, the first culture shock is honestly one that I didn't think was true, but the portion sizes in the US are bigger. The biggest thing I feel like I've noticed portion sizes with is ice cream. So in Romania, we would always go to these cute little gelato shops all over town, and you would get like 1 to 2 scoops of ice cream. I've noticed when we go to get ice cream here in the States, you have to get a kid size to be the same size as in Europe. So it's kind of shocking. The second culture shock is actually grocery stores and farmers markets. So when we moved to Romania, I avoided going to farmers markets because I thought that it was going to be more expensive, because that is traditionally how it is in America. The farmers markets are, I would say, like 1.5 to 2 times more expensive than just going to the grocery store. Thanks to all of you guys, I learned that that's not actually how it is, and the farmers markets are so much less expensive in Romania, which is amazing. Third culture shock. Honestly, this one to me, I can't even wrap my head around this culture shock. Medical is so freaking expensive. I went and had a dental appointment this week. You will never believe how much this appointment cost me. I didn't even get any work done. I got no cleanings. All I did was get a pre-evaluation appointment and x-rays. It cost me $429. That's absolutely absurd to me. And that doesn't even include like if you need fillings, if you need a cleaning. They gave me a quote, $3,000 for miscellaneous things that needed to be done. So for example, if you were to give birth in the US without health insurance, it would cost you almost $19,000. Okay, let me know if this next part is true. I'm Googling like the difference between health costs for childbirth. In Romania, this website is saying it's between 1,000 and 2,000 American dollars to give birth if you don't have insurance in Romania. Everything medically is so expensive in the US, and it's absolutely outrageous. The fourth reverse culture shock is that you have an electric dryer in your apartment, in your house, that is completely standard. Hang drying your clothes is so extremely common in Europe, and so that's something that I have actually brought back with me to the States. Is I continue to hang dry my clothes. Part of me did kind of miss my electric dryer while we were living in Europe, but part of me still really loves that my clothes don't get ruined in a dryer because I hang dry. The fifth culture shock is so funny to me because I grew up in the States. This is something that never was really weird or strange to me. Drive-thrus are so extremely common, and I feel like almost every single major place has drive-thrus. America has definitely made everything extremely convenient for all of us by just driving through and not having to get out of the car. The sixth culture shock that I have experienced being back in America, how big this country is. If you drive 16 hours, you're still in the same country. But what I loved about living in Romania is that you could fly 1 hour away and you were in a different country. So I love being able to have access to so many different countries right around you. Let me know down below, if you drove 16 hours from Cluj-Napoca, Romania, where would that take you? Number 7 was so shocking to me because I have been away from it for so long, it feels like, but the pharmacies in the US are completely different than the pharmacies in Europe. The pharmacies in Europe are mostly pharmaceutical medical items. The video I posted last week, you can see what an American pharmacy looks like. You had birthday cards, you had makeup, obviously skincare, you had 2 aisles of over-the-counter prescription medications that you don't need anyone's permission to buy. You have drinks, snacks, toys. They have completely made pharmacies a one-stop shop, and it doesn't just pertain to pharmaceutical items. Culture shock number 8 is how car dependent most of the United States is. And this has been shocking to me because in Romania, we walked everywhere. If we needed to go to one of the big grocery stores, we would walk 45 minutes each way to get our groceries. So being back in the States and having to be car dependent and driving to most places is really shocking to me because that was one thing I loved about living in Romania. Culture shock number 9 is how many sweets there are in America. It is so insane. The culture has been built around sweets and candy. Now, don't get me wrong, people in Europe still absolutely love treats, but I think that people have a more balanced diet and their whole world doesn't just revolve around eating sugar 24/7 like I feel like it is in the US. Culture shock number 10. I have talked about this before, but the AC is so cold because it's 90 degrees Fahrenheit outside, and then you go into the grocery store or you go into a restaurant and then you're immediately freezing cold with full body goosebumps. That is one thing I loved about living in Europe, so I do miss that. Culture shock number 11, work culture. I feel like the US provides a lot of great opportunities for people, but it has definitely become the hustle culture. Why is it so praised to always be so busy, not have a good work-life balance, and you're driving yourselves mad? The work-life balance in Europe definitely is a lot better. I really do appreciate that about Europe, and that's one thing that I really wish we could implement into our culture. Culture shock number 12 is the bathroom stall gaps. I do feel very exposed in a public restroom whenever you see the giant gaps between the stalls and then also underneath. And in the past, I have had little kids in the bathroom trying to crawl under or look under the stall. In Europe, it's really common to have floor to ceiling doors, so you are completely covered and there aren't these big gaping holes in the stalls for people just to be looking in at you. Culture shock number 13 is we have ranch. Oh my gosh. I absolutely missed ranch. I would dip my chicken nuggets, my french fries, you name it. I loved ranch and ate it on everything. And it's really not a thing in Europe. Now, it's not completely obsolete. I think you still can find it. You're really not gonna find it abundantly or very easily. And I have had some Europeans tell me like what even is ranch. And that's actually such a good question because we really don't know. Culture shock number 14 is everything is fried. Why is everything fried? There's fried chicken, fried Twinkies, fried pickles, fried ice cream, fried Oreos. Do we really need to put everything in a deep fryer? It's just weird. Culture shock number 15, grocery stores are gigantic. There are so many options to choose from and it is very overwhelming, honestly. In Europe, there are big grocery stores. It's really common to have just smaller grocery stores nearby and then you make a trip to the larger grocery stores. But I feel like in the US, most grocery stores are extremely large. Let me know what culture shocks you've experienced after being in the US. Which one of these culture shocks that I listed do you think was the weirdest? I always enjoy interacting and chatting with you guys in the comments, so make sure that you comment down below. I appreciate you experiencing life, learning, and growing with me, and I cannot wait to see you next time. Bye!